all persons having any business before this honourable court now draw nigh and give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Queen.
Please proceed.
Admission of lawyers. Mariam Albiani.
May it please the court, I move that Marian Albiani be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Marian Albiani be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jessica Lauren Arman.
May it please the court, I move that Jessica Arman be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Jessica Lauren Arman be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Amanda Raymond Azzi.
May it please the court, I move that Amanda Raymond Azzi be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Amanda Raymond Azzi be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Linda Pamela Capalupo.
May it please the court, I move that Linda Pamela Capalupo be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Linda Pamela Capalupo be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sheridan Jane Duck.
May it please the court, I move that Sheridan Jane Duck be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Sheridan Jane Duck be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Rachel Claire Godden.
May it please the court, I move that Rachel Claire Godden be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Rachel Claire Godden be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Karen Holmes.
I move that Taryn Holmes be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Taryn Holmes be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Vivian Hondrogianis.
May it please the court, I move that Vivian Hondrianis be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Vivian Hondrianis be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Quing Hu.
May it please the court, I move that Quing Hu be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Quing Hu be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Dean Timothy Jagger.
May it please the court, I move that Dean Timothy Jagger be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Dean Timothy Jagger be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Ushanta Udayanka Jayawira.
May it please the court, I move that Rashanta Udayanka Jayawira be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Rashantha Udayanka Jawira be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jackson Boyd Zien Kuan Kang.
May it please the court, I move that my son, Jackson Boyd Sien Kwan Kang, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Jackson Boyd Zhang Quang Quang Kang be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Shavnil Akash Kumar.
May it please the court, I move that Shakas Akash Kumar be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Shavnail Akash Kumar be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jessica E. Lehman.
May it please the court, I move that Jessica E. Lehman be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Jessica Eve Lehman be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sharon Lee Maddox.
May it please the court, I move that Sharon Lee Maddox be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Sharon Lee Maddox be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jonathan Negro.
May it please the court, I move that Jonathan Negro be admitted as a solicitor of this honourable court.
That Jonathan Negro be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Leandros Pandoulis.
May it please the court, I move that Leandros Pandoulis be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Leandros Pandoulis be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Lucy Ellen Peel.
May it please the court, I move that Lucy Ellen Peel be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Lucy Ellen Peel be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Christina Marie Plessas.
May it please the court, I move that Christina Marie Plessis be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable.
That Christina Marie Plessis be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Chandler Ellen Serrett.
May it please the court, I move that Chandler Ellen Serrett be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Chandler Ellen Serrett be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Megan
please the court, I move that Megan Sessions be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Megan Sessions be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Laura Jane Shorrock.
May it please the court, I move that Laura Jane Shorrock be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Laura Jane Shorrock be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Thomas Sydney St John.
Please the court, I move that Thomas Sydney St John be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Thomas Sydney St John be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Anna Lisa Yvonne T.
May it please the court, I move that Anna Lisa Yvonne T be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Annalisa Yvonne T be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jenny Mintu Tran.
May it please the court, I move that Jenny Mintu Tran be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jenny Mintru Tran be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jessica Van Wyck.
May it please the court, I move that my friend Jessica Van Wyk be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jessica Van Wyk be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sally Ting Yu Wang.
May it please the court, I move that Sally Ting Yu Wang be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Sally Ting Yu Wang be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Arinta Wanich-Pongpan.
May it please the court, I move that Arinta Wanipongpan be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Arinta Wanipongpan be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jianqing Zi.
Jiang Qing Zi. May it please the court, I move that Jiang Zi be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jiang Jingzi be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Emma Kate Udall.
May it please the court, I move that Emma Kate Udale be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Emma Kate Udall be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Benjamin William Young.
May it please the court, I move that Benjamin William Young be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Benjamin William Young be admitted as a lawyer of this court. It will now be necessary for the purpose of an oath or an affirmation that all those being admitted today stand up but remain standing in their current places. So please stand.
Mariam Albiani. Jessica Lauren Arman. Amanda Raymond Azzi. Linda Pamela Capalupo. Sheridan Jane Duck. Rachel Claire Godden. Taran Holmes. Vivian Hondru Giannis. Quing Quing Hu. Dean Timothy Jagger. Rusantha Udayanka Jayawira. Jackson Boydsian Kuan Yat Kang. Shavnil Akash Kumar. Jessica E. Lehman. Sharon Lee Maddox. Jonathan Negro. Leandros Pandulis. Lucy Ellen Peel. Christina Marie Plessas. Chandler Ellen Serrat. Megan Sessions. Laura Jane Shorrock. Thomas Sydney St John. Anna Lisa Yvonne T. Jenny Mintu Tran. Jessica Van Wyk. Sally Ting Yu Wang. Arinta Wanich-Pongpan. Jianqing Zi. Emma Kate Udall. Benjamin William Young. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state according to the best of your knowledge, skill and ability? Would you please say, "So help me God," or "I do"?
Well, now that the formal part of proceedings has ended, I would like to warmly welcome you all to the Supreme Court of New South Wales. I'm the President of the Court of Appeal. My role is to preside on civil appeals in the Supreme Court and to deputise for the Chief Justice when he is unable to sit. The Chief Justice regrets that he's not able to sit at this ceremony, but he's asked me to pass on his congratulations and best wishes to you all. Present with me on the bench today are, to my right, Justice Leeming, a colleague of mine on the Court of Appeal, a judge of appeal, and to my left, Justice Rothman, who is a very senior member of the Common Law Division of this court. Together we constitute the court that has, in the exercise of its jurisdiction, today admitted you to practice. And as we gather here today, I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. Indigenous Australians' interaction with our legal system, especially the criminal justice system, remains vexed, and it's important to acknowledge on occasions such as this, with deep regret, the role that the legal system has sometimes played in perpetrating or perpetuating injustices against First Nations people. On the other hand, decisions such as Mabo highlight the way in which the law, in a more enlightened era, has advanced the cause of Indigenous people. To all the new lawyers here today, welcome to the legal profession. Today is a day for celebration to mark a great achievement, a milestone. I know that you've all worked extremely hard to get here through caffeine-fueled nights, solving obscure problem questions, reading countless wafer-thin pages of textbooks, many of which have been written by Justice Leeming, to my right, and more cases than you care to remember. But rest assured, for any of those of you with abibliophobia, that is a fear of running out of reading material, that is a fear that as lawyers will never materialise. You have entered the world of eggshell skulls, encountered the mysterious reasonable person, grappled with burdens of proof, and have understood that the Constitution consists of a little more than the vibe. Hopefully, however, you have come to appreciate that all of the subjects you have studied and the principles you have learnt provide the essential framework within which our society is designed to function in a civilised, safe and orderly manner. The fabric of our society is underpinned by the rule of law. That's not a cant phrase, but a fundamental reality. In becoming a lawyer, you have today joined a centuries-old profession with ancient origins. The custom of advocates swearing an admissions oath, as you have this morning, dates back to the 12th century, and this court first admitted lawyers to practice in 1824, and by 1830, 190 years ago, the names of lawyers were entered onto the rolls in this state, just as your name will be entered this morning. You have now become part of this tradition almost 200 years later. Perhaps for some of you, or at least for your family and friends, that is how long you feel that you have been studying. But on that note, let me welcome and acknowledge those with you today or watching on the live stream. For many of you, the newly admitted lawyers, the support of your family and friends will have been invaluable as you have tackled your law degrees and qualifications, and will be invaluable going forward. No doubt they've been on the receiving end of your finely polished skills of argument, persuasion and cross-examination, but you should take time today to thank them, even take them out to lunch. Or perhaps they will do that for you. The oath or the affirmation that you've made today is a serious one and deserves solemn regard. Whether you work in private practice, at the bar, in a community legal centre, or in an entirely different field, you as a lawyer should be known for your honesty, your integrity and your commitment to justice. It is in acknowledgement of this weighty responsibility that we observe today's unique formalities, including the swearing of oaths and even our particular ceremonial robes. For those in court, you can observe on the walls around you portraits of former Chief Justices wearing, in some cases, the very same robes, at least in a similar style, that we still wear for formal ceremonies such as this. And we don't do so because we like dressing up, but we do so in symbolic recognition of the importance of the continuity of the rule of law in this state and country. However, it must be said that although we mark the occasion today with formality and tradition, not everything in the legal profession remains unchanging. Last year, for example, the pandemic meant a rapid shift to the increased use of virtual courtroom setups and technology to ensure that access to justice and the rule of law continued to operate in a living way in the midst of the pandemic. These challenges placed a spotlight on the importance of open justice, effective communication, whilst striving to ensure fairness to participants in a new virtual environment. Better use of technology and increased working from home arrangements have profound implications for how our legal system interacts with many people, including those in rural or remote areas, those with a disability, medical conditions or carers' responsibilities. As the newest members of the profession, you are at the forefront of innovation in the law and have a unique opportunity to see through changes so that justice is done openly and equitably. There are, of course, other changes that deserve attention. When we think of the diversity of the legal profession, we encounter a duality that on the one hand we've come a long way, but whilst on the other hand much still needs to be done. Though women were originally not permitted to practice law, something we would think of today as unthinkable and completely unacceptable, since 2018 women have made up more than half of all solicitors with practising certificates in New South Wales and currently make up 63% of the solicitors under the age of 30. And women occupy many of the most senior positions in the law, including, of course, the Chief Justice of Australia, Chief Justice Kiefel. My predecessor as President of the Court of Appeal was the Honourable Margaret Beasley, ACQC, now the Governor of this state. Justice Julie Ward is the Chief Judge in Equity of this court, and the current President of the Law Society of New South Wales is Ms Juliana Warner. However, that having been said, and although the balance has begun to shift significantly, women continue to face challenges of representation, including amongst judges of this court and amongst barristers in speaking roles in the Court of Appeal and before the High Court. It is notable, however, that the local Court of New South Wales has almost achieved gender parity amongst magistrates, and that much of the senior representation in this Court of Criminal Appeal is by very talented female advocates. Of course, there are other noticeable diversity concerns that we must face head-on. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and people from diverse cultural backgrounds continue to be underrepresented in the legal profession, and particularly within the judiciary and the ranks of senior counsel. We must also be alert to barriers to the profession for people from less privileged backgrounds. Law should not be a profession for the wealthy, and the idea that students may be dissuaded from studying law by the cost of a law degree, which this year has again increased, or because of other systemic issues, is troubling. Not just this, but we will only achieve a truly diverse profession when barriers to advancement are broken down and people from different backgrounds are properly supported in a collegiate and inclusive environment free from harassment and discrimination. These issues are fundamental to a just and transparent legal system and the legitimacy of the rule of law. But there is, it's pleasing to observe, far greater diversity of background amongst junior lawyers than in the past, and that is a phenomenon which is increasingly noticeable in admission ceremonies such as this. You, the newly admitted lawyers, are in a unique position because you are entering the profession at a time of great change, when more than ever your words and actions are having an impact for good. You are being heard and taken seriously when you agitate to correct injustices, whether it be speaking out about unsustainable working cultures, sexual harassment or bullying, unfair laws or systemic failings affecting our society's most vulnerable. And I would urge you to continue to speak up for the things that matter. You are the future of the profession and will steer it in the direction it will take. Now, as a lawyer, you will need to make difficult ethical decisions at times. With regard to our personal characteristics, lawyers have been the butt of jokes over the centuries, and some would say, of course, that there are only a handful of lawyer jokes, the rest are true stories. But jokes aside, you must use the tools you have developed to think critically and not compromise on your fundamental duties to the court, to the administration of justice, and the other ethical duties you must uphold. You are expected to and will be held to high ethical standards. We make no apology for that, and you should take pride in your position as a lawyer, and you should take pride in the legal profession. Now that you're lawyers, you get paid to argue instead of just arguing for free. But of course, there is much more to it than that. You have become an advisor, a problem solver, a mediator, and an advocate for the marginalised. As you go about your day-to-day work, remember that you're not merely dealing with the law in a vacuum, but the law as it applies to people's lives. And these people, if and when they need to consult you as a lawyer, will frequently be doing so as they face great personal challenges, whether they relate to issues of their liberty or the liberty of their friends or family, whether the issues relate to family relations and affairs, or whether they relate to financial or commercial distress. For this reason, you must strive to deliver legal services not only competently and fiercely, but with courtesy, compassion and integrity. And those last precepts of courtesy and integrity also apply to how you deal with your opponents. Whether you become a solicitor or a barrister, you are all members of the one profession and all owe ethical duties to the court and to the administration of justice in this state. The practice of law, I know, can be stressful and demanding enough without personal animus and antagonism between practitioners adding to the burden. One venerable law firm began a simple practice about 15 years ago of commencing all their correspondence to other firms with the simple phrase, "Dear colleagues." That was a small but salutary initiative. Nobody ever went backwards by being polite and civil, and I would suggest that you should regard courtesy in your dealings with other lawyers as an essential component of your membership of the profession. For those of you who will practice law, the way you communicate information to others will also have profound consequences for access to justice. For a non-lawyer, law is often incomprehensible. Even for some lawyers, it remains incomprehensible. One of your roles as a lawyer will be to make law accessible to others, including your clients, sometimes by deciphering legal complexities, other times by deciphering poor legal drafting, other times by marshalling the facts in light of the legal principles of which you're aware and explaining them to your client. Clear explanation, clarity of thought and clarity of explanation are critical to the task of being a good lawyer. A client reading your advice should be empowered to understand your meaning and not left mystified or confused. So I urge you to be clear and concise in your writing and in your speaking, and that is something that judges must also be astute to remember. The best advocates can and do make their point simply and succinctly. Often, very often, less is more, and the same discipline, as I say, applies equally to judges. I also want to mention on this occasion failure. I would not be surprised if there were quite a few overachievers and perfectionists in the room today. Even so, at various points of your career, you will make mistakes, some minor, some more serious. We all have. When you do make mistakes, your commitment to honesty, integrity and the administration of justice means that you must take responsibility, correct what you can and learn from the errors. You must fail at times in order to grow, but what is important is that you try not to make the same mistake twice. One mistake you should never make is to give your clients the advice they want to hear. You do neither yourself nor your client any favours by doing so. Justice Gageler, one of our great judges on the High Court, once said, before his appointment to the court, he said this, and I quote, "You must be prepared to give the same answer to the same questions for the same reasons, no matter who asks the question or for what purpose or in what context the asking may occur." That observation, simple and elegant, is foundational to the upholding of the rule of law, and it is a good test to remember when giving advice to your clients. Finally, I want to emphasise that your mental health is extremely important. This may sound unexpected at a happy ceremony such as this, but it's important to remember that the law is not everything. There may be times when you feel overwhelmed, burnt out or distressed. If you do, you should not be afraid to seek professional help or just take a step back when you need to. And remember also this, that the law is a very collegiate profession. The Law Society and the Bar Association are great organisations. They are great and supportive organisations, and they are there to assist you in times of difficulty, and you'll find that the support of your peers will be invaluable. And so, on behalf of the Chief Justice, my colleagues, Justice Leeming and Justice Rothman, and all of the members of the Supreme Court, I once again congratulate you on your admission to the profession and welcome you to it. The Court will now adjourn.
All stand.